Here is periwinkle. It's a common ground cover. Blooms in the spring, and I think it blooms into the summer a bit. Has little blue flowers. Looks a little bit like a phlox flower with a tube and 5 petals. Here we have a bit of a patch of bloodroot. This is a spring flower. It's called a spring ephemeral because the leaves and flowers come up early spring before the trees leaf out, and the flowers bloom and start to make seeds before the spring is over. And then later these leaves will open up and we'll see a very interesting shaped leaf. These flowers are not quite fully open. We'll come back later this month and check up on them again. That's the bloodroot. Sanguinaria. It has a red juice in the stem. Here's some daffodils, a common favorite in the spring in gardens and parks. Daffodils are monocots. They have 3 petals and 3 sepals. The petals and sepals look the same, so they can be called tepals. They have white. This one has white petals. There's a daffodil back there with yellow petals. The odd thing that daffodils have is this corona. It's an extra part of the flower. Corona means crown. So it's this round crown-like structure that's in the center of the flower. It's inside of the petals, but the reproductive parts, the stamens and the pistil or the carpels, are inside of that in the center like normal. But these daffodil flowers have this extra yellow tubular corona, which I'll show a diagram of later when we talk about flowers. But these are spring flowers that don't bloom for very long, and they're not native here in the US. Here's yellow daffodils. You can see the corona, the extra flower part here in the center, with the 3 yellow petals and 3 yellow sepals on the outside of that. Next to those, there's some hyacinth. This is a spring bulb plant. You can grow these bulbs in your house. They're often sold in little pots to grow inside. There's a pink one and a blue one here. Those are also monocots. Here's some young ones that aren't opened up yet. That's hyacinth. It comes in different colors. One thing to note is the colors here with the hyacinth is probably anthocyanin with the pinks and the blues and the purple colors, whereas the daffodils here are yellow, so that's a carotenoid pigment. So that means that pigment is in plastids inside the cells, whereas these pink and purple colors, the anthocyanin type pigments, are in the vacuole. Plastids with carotenoids and vacuoles with anthocyanin pigments. And these anthocyanin pigments can change color a bit depending on the pH. Here's another daffodil. This one has a very large orange corona in the center, and then yellow petals and sepals. So you can see there's yellow carotenoid pigments up here and orange carotenoid pigments in here. And again, those pigments are in the plastids. So we've got green color in the chloroplasts for photosynthesis, and we've got orange pigments in the plastids for the flower color. Here we have a large carpet of a very early spring flower. This is called Scilla, little nodding blue flowers. Again, you might guess this is a monocot. If you look, there's flower parts are in 6, so it's got 3 petals and 3 tepals. So 3 petals and 3 sepals, or 6 tepals. But here you can see 6 petals, sepals, with the reproductive parts in the center there of the Scilla. And this comes up, and it doesn't stay up very long, so sometimes people have it in their lawn. Here's something different. This is something in the buttercup family. I don't know exactly what. It's a garden variety with lots and lots of petals. That's not normal in nature for this type of buttercup to have lots of petals. It usually has like 5 petals. And we've got this orange-yellow one, and we've got this red one. And one way you can tell it's in the buttercup family, besides the kind of waxy petals, are these leaves are kind of divided. They're a bit like a fern leaf divided up, but a lot of buttercup family plants have these divided leaves like this. Tubular flowers. If you notice, there's blue flowers and more pinkish red flowers, and that is a change in the anthocyanin pigment, and that color change signals to the little bees and insects which flowers are ripe for collecting pollen or nectar. So this color difference will show up more obviously in the ultraviolet for the insects to help them zone in on the flowers that are ripe for pollen and nectar exchange. And then next to this is a little grape hyacinth, little round belch flowers with little tiny openings here in these clusters. One of the things you'll see in this area here, and maybe your neighborhood, are these big patches of leaves. This is some sort of daylily that is sending up leaves now. It'll send up flowers later, probably early summer.